Thank you for joining ntTV News at Noon. I'm Andrea Valdez.
And I'm Jalen Jackson. We have a great show for you today.
The Denton City Council adopted a long-debated non-discrimination ordinance Tuesday after it repeatedly stalled. Protected classes under the ordinance, which does not supersede state or federal law, are race, color, national origin, age, religion, disability, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. The ordinance applies to housing, employment, and public accommodations, and when it was written, to mirror existing state and federal statutes as much as possible. Complaints of discrimination filed under the ordinance must be filed within 90 days of the offense and will be referred to state and federal agencies whenever possible. If found to be in violation, a guilty business, for example, could be charged with a Class C misdemeanor.
Yesterday, City Council member Jesse Davis made an accusation that a handful of his colleagues violated state transparency laws throughout Denton's redistricting efforts. Those effects resulted in a map that was disproportionate from its predecessor in several ways. Davis accused council members of breaking the Texas Open Meetings Act and the Texas Public Information Act. Davis filed a complaint with the Texas Attorney General's office, claiming the office asked the city to comply with the investigation.
It's a little chilly out this morning, don't you think?
Yeah, it was. However, I had a nice walk to the building. Let's turn it over to our weather anchor, Ryan Cantrell, to see what's in store for the rest of the day. Ryan?
Well, y'all, I can definitely agree that there has been some beautiful weather throughout the day. But speaking of, we are at a mild 57 degrees with under sunny skies and with the feeling temperature of around 53 thanks to those northwest 18-mile-per-hour winds. Now on to tonight, those clear skies will remain. Temperatures will dip to around 45 and winds will calm down to 3 miles per hour. Now on to tomorrow, we'll see those sunny skies return again and temps will rise to 59 degrees actual temperature. Tomorrow it'll feel like 56 thanks to those new 11-mile-per-hour winds. Now that's all I have for my first look. Stick with us for my full weather forecast later. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Ryan. While we may be getting some more sun this week, Texans are still recovering from severe weather that occurred on Monday night. Reporter Ricardo Lewis from KEYE-TV in Austin has the latest.
Stuff all the way up the hill here.
The morning after a destructive tornado tore through Tommy Fila's neighborhood in Granger, he's assessing the damage left behind.
The tin up in the trees.
Debris is scattered all over his farmland with splintered trees, metal, and wood. His family and neighbors hid in the closet.
At first we thought it had left. It looked like it picked up and went into the clouds. And then all of a sudden we heard a loud train roar over our head.
Fila lost sheds, fencing, and suffered some roof damage. His neighbor's home took a major hit. Too stunned to speak, she's sifting through all the memories, trying to find what's salvageable.
I think it was a blessing, because if we wouldn't have been here, our neighbors wouldn't have came over.
A bird's eye view of the small farming community shows the widespread damage. Dozens of homes are leveled. The only thing getting this community through is neighbors helping neighbors.
What made this county judge emotional today as we traveled around to some of the sites wasn't the damage that I saw, but was the number of vehicles and the number of people that were there, neighbor helping neighbor.
The best thing that I can say is it's unbelievable outpour from the community, just the help. I mean, within an hour last night, we had 15 to 16 people just, out wrangling cattle and fixing fence.
Ross Thornton's family ranch is in shambles. He knows the road to recovery won't be easy.
Time to rebuild and repair. Not much else you can do.
In Granger, Ricardo Lewis, CBS Austin News.
Ukrainian forces are fighting back against the Russian military, who have set their sights on Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. According to the U.S. estimates, thousands of Russian troops have been killed since the invasion began. CNN's Phil Black reports.
Ukrainian forces are pushing back close to the capital. They say they've regained control of this road and the surrounding area. It's Makariv, a short drive west from Kyiv. The head of the region's police released this video of his visit soon after. It shows him reclaiming a melted Ukrainian flag from the local police station. He says Makariv is still under fire and every second civilian building is damaged or destroyed. There isn't much left, but if Ukraine can now hold this ground, it could prove crucial in stopping Russian forces from encircling the capital. In Ukraine's east, the city of Kharkiv, another much-wanted prize for the invading force, has reported a noticeable increase in Russian munitions fired from afar. Intelligence assessments from Western governments say that's happening more because fighting up close isn't going Russia's way. But still, no city in Ukraine has been bombarded like Mariupol. There is only daily torment for the hundreds of thousands still under siege there.
Each day, Mariupol is destroyed more and more. Till now, in our estimation, about 90% of our infrastructure is damaged and destroyed. City is under continuous bombing, from 50 bombs to 100 bombs. Russian aircraft drops each day.
But Vladimir Putin's spokesman is still comfortable saying this.
Our military are targeting only military goals and military objects on the territory of Ukraine, not civil ones. Russian military are not hitting civil aims, civil targets.
One of the still unanswered questions of this conflict, how great are Russian losses on the battlefield? The Russian tabloid Komsomolskaya Pravda appeared briefly to know the answer. In a report published Monday, it said 9,861 deaths had been recorded by Russia's defense ministry, with more than 16,000 wounded. Then, much later that day, the report was edited and the numbers removed. The tabloid said it was hacked and someone inserted false information. The published figure is notable because it tracks with US Defense Department estimates of up to 10,000 Russian deaths in Ukraine. After 4 weeks, Russia's invasion is stalled with little momentum and no significant wins. No problem, says President Putin's spokesman.
We're speaking about special military operation that is going on, and it is going on strictly in accordance with the plans and with purposes that were established beforehand.
Phil Black, CNN, Lviv, Ukraine.
Meanwhile, many other Ukrainians have fled their home country with little to no belongings. Roughly 1 in 4 Ukrainians have been forced out of their homes, according to the UN. CNN's Salma Abdelaziz had the opportunity to speak with refugees about the lives they left behind and the few personal belongings they still carry with them.
Life changed in an instant for these families, forced to flee their homes as Russian troops invaded. But what do you take with you as you run? What is your most precious possession? For 11-year-old Victoria, it's her beloved teddy bear. She's outgrown him, but he's just the right size for her little sister.
Oh, it's for Valeria. This is her favorite toy, is her bear.
It was mine and now it's hers, she tells me. When she's crying a lot, she cuddles him at night. Tatiana packed as the sound of explosions grew closer and closer to her family's home in Kyiv.
What is the most precious thing you took?
This is me and my father.
When I was gathering my stuff, I knew I needed to take this, she tells me. It's the only album with my dad's pictures in it. Her father died when she was 6, but pictures of his smile bring comfort. I knew the photo album would make me feel calmer. 7-year-old Milana rushes to grab her favorite thing. It's easy to see why she loves it. Because there are animals in it and dogs, and you can count. Here is 6, here is 4. Denise was given just 10 minutes to leave his university dorm, but he knew what to grab. My sunglasses, I adore them, he tells me. They make me look cool like Kurt Cobain.
Put on the sunglasses for me, please. How do you feel now that you have the sunglasses on?
It makes me feel like everything is going to be fine, he says, that we will win, and I will walk on the streets of Kyiv under a peaceful sky again. A dream shared by the many victims of this senseless war. Salma Abdelaziz, CNN, Lviv.
When we come back, find out what Americans think about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson being nominated for the Supreme Court.
And Disneyland employees participate in a walkout to defend LGBTQ+ rights.
Sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
The hearing to determine if Ketanji Brown Jackson will become the newest Supreme Court justice is well underway. The judge faced question after question on Tuesday in an intense 13-hour session. Sunderland Safadi with CNN reporting.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
This second day is known affectionately by a term of medieval justice known as the trial by ordeal.
With that warning, hours of intense questioning from senators followed, and so was the firestorm from the Republican camp. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina questioned her defense of Guantanamo Bay detainees.
Do you believe that's true, that America was acting as war criminals in holding these detainees?
Senator, the Supreme Court held that the executive branch has the authority to detain people who are designated as enemy combatants for the duration of the hostilities. And what I was doing in the context of the habeas petitions at this very early stage in the process was making allegations to preserve issues on behalf of my clients.
The sentencing of people convicted of child pornography was another contentious issue on display, as some Republicans charge that she is soft on crime.
And do you think that these laws are too tough, that we're too tough on sex offenders? Explain what you meant in this case in 2013, and it seems to be the same thing you said many years ago.
Senator, it's not the same thing I said many years ago. Many years ago, as a law school student, I was evaluating a new set of legislation, state laws about registration, and I was analyzing them as law students do.
Jackson pushed back, denying that she was lenient on sentencing in these cases.
As a mother and a judge who has had to deal with these cases, I was thinking that nothing could be further from the truth. These are some of the most difficult cases that a judge has to deal with.
Other Republicans, such as Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, questioned Jackson on some other broad culture war topics.
Critical race theory frames all of society as a fundamental and intractable battle between the races. It views every conflict as a racial conflict. Do you think that's an accurate way of viewing society in the world we live in?
Senator, I don't think so, but I've never studied critical race theory and I've never used it. It doesn't come up in the work that I do as a judge.
The hearing will continue today and will wrap up after the final day of questioning tomorrow. Entering the third day of Supreme Court nomination hearings, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson has garnered support from a slight majority of the country. According to a Gallup poll released on Wednesday, 58% say they would like to see Jackson become the 9th member of SCOTUS. 30% say the Senate should reject Biden's nomination, and while 12% did not side with either. If Jackson gets through the Senate, she will become the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court.
ntTV took a trip to the Texas Capitol, and I got the chance to talk to UNT Texas history professor to discuss this historic building's beginnings.
If you take a trip to the city of Austin and go down the historic Congress Avenue, you will be met by the crown jewel of the city, the Texas Capitol building. But how did this location and historic building come to be?
Austin is central. It has good water, good location. And of course, over the years, you get this fondness for it. It's the way things ought to be.
The Capitol building underwent 3 different transformations, with the second building tragically burning down. However, once construction began on the version standing today, there was a certain vision in mind going forward.
It was nothing but a log building like every building was there. Texas by this time is very much beginning to catch up on the New South, very proud. They wanted a Capitol bigger than anybody else.
To bring this idea to life, Texas called on Chicago residents and Italian artists, offering them land in exchange for their services to create a building that made visitors look closer at the detail work.
They want you to know what a great place Texas is. We are so awesome because look at our awesome Capitol building and the detail work, the beautiful carvings, the artwork that they've put in it, the artwork that they will put in it.
Today, the Capitol grounds welcome close to 200,000 visitors every year, eager to explore the building.
What started off as a log cabin in 1839 is now one of the largest state capitals across the U.S., including the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C.
But as Texas grew and began to think of itself as modern, as civilized, they wanted a building that when visitors came for official business, they got that message.
So the next time you visit the Capitol building, look closer at the detail work in every corner, not just inside the Capitol, but in the unique features outside, and bask in an important piece of Texas history. For ntTV News, I'm Andrea Valdez.
Summer is right around the corner, and it's a great opportunity to explore the outdoors. However, you may have to do a bit more planning before you hit the nature trails. Yosemite National Park recently launched a reservation system during the peak season. This system requires people to reserve their spot in order to get into the park. This can be done at recreation.gov. Visitors must also pay a $2 non-refundable reservation fee along with the $35 per car entrance charge. And I know for a fact I am ready to see the sunshine again, and we saw a little of it this past week, but I simply cannot wait for warmer temperatures.
Well, I think we might be in luck, but let's go over to our weather anchor, Ryan Cantrell, and hopefully he can give us some good news. Ryan?
Friends, I hope you've enjoyed this sunny spring break here in Denton, and I hope you've all stayed safe during Monday's storms. But speaking of which, we have mild temps across the board in North Texas. Currently at Paris, we're at 51 degrees, Sulphur Springs at 54, McKinney's at 55, Dallas is at 57, and Fort Worth right here is at 58. Decatur's at 55, and all the way up there in Bowie is chilling at a 48 degrees. Now across the state of Texas, we're going to see a little bit more of a radical distribution in temperatures, with mainly warmer temps in the south, with H-Town at 60, Austin at 61, Denton here at 57, Oklahoma City up there at 58, Shreveport at 55, and all the way up there in El Paso at 52 degrees. Now here, friends, here is our 7-day forecast. So we have a clear and quiet pattern across the week with a warming trend, with Wednesday's high of 63 all the way up to 84 on Sunday under all completely sunny skies, calling for fun in the sun. Now Monday, Tuesday, we might see some cloud activity, maybe even some rain and T-storms on Tuesday thanks to that 20% chance of precipitation. Thank you for watching this full weather forecast. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Ryan. On Tuesday, Disneyland employees are showing their support for the LGBTQ+ community by participating in a walkout. This comes after the passing of Florida's controversial education bill dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. Disney's CEO has not publicly spoken out against the bill, and the company's employees want accountability.
For people who care about this company and have such a passion for this brand, we want to make sure that things like this are held accountable.
There can be a lot of hate out there in the world, and we wanted to make sure that we showed that there was love too.
On Tuesday, the company posted on its Instagram that they oppose any, quote, legislation that infringes on basic human rights.
A county in Washington settled a wrongful death case with the family of a man who died in police custody. The Pierce County Council approved the measure Tuesday. CNN's Lionel Donovan has the details.
The result of the roll call vote are 7 ayes.
And the ayes have it. This afternoon, all 7 of Pierce County Council members voted to approve a settlement amount of over $4 million to the family of Manuel Ellis. Ellis was killed in March of 2020 while being taken into police custody. Video footage of Ellis's death led to calls for an independent investigation into the incident. In a complaint filed by the Ellis family, 2 Pierce County deputies were included for being on the scene during the arrest. Deputy Gary Sanders, who grabbed Ellis's leg and assisted in restraining him, and Lieutenant Anthony Messinillo, who arrived later but allegedly never touched Ellis. Attorney James Bible is hopeful that this is the start of the end of a 2-year-long journey.
The process is long and it's hard. This is just one of the first steps in terms of the process, but there's certainly more to come as we address all of those that played any role in the killing of Manuel Ellis.
Jamaica Scott of the Tacoma Action Collective says that while the settlement may give the Ellis family some sense of relief, it can't take away the trauma of losing a loved one. And it's still a flawed approach to addressing larger systemic issues in law enforcement.
They don't have to be these one-off things. You can create a culture around public safety that is not so harsh and punitive as it currently is. It's not easy, but it's also it's not as complicated as the national conversation would have you believe.
Meanwhile, Bible says that although this settlement moves things forward, he highlights that there's still work to do.
Pierce County has chosen to resolve their matter via settlement with a $4 million offer. This does not change the amount of liability that's present for the city of Tacoma and its offending officers. They are focusing both on civil litigation and also on the murder trial that is up and coming.
The Ellis family wrongful death complaint also includes the city of Tacoma and individual officers, 3 of which will be facing charges related to Ellis's death. Coming up, Microsoft faces a security breach and attempts to mitigate the situation.
And children ages 6 months to 5 years old may be able to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
6, 7. Hey, didn't see you there. Just finished my 100th rep. You ready to train? Yeah! You got your weights? Yeah! You got your energy drink? Of course. You got time to go to the Pole Recreation Center? Yeah, what? Listen, I didn't even graduate high school. I can't teach for the life of me.
Instead, UNT is offering workout classes at a moderate pace, including yoga, cycling, Pilates, and more.
Don't rely on your dad's old workout videos. Check out the UNT Rec Center today.
Tech giant Microsoft confirmed they experienced a security breach. On Tuesday, it was revealed that Lapsus, a cybercriminal group, hacked OKTA, a digital identity management firm. Microsoft says Lapsus broke through an account, allowing it to have limited access to some Microsoft systems. No customer data was compromised.
It might not be much longer until there's a COVID vaccine available for little kids. Moderna just shared some new results for a vaccine they've developed for kids ages 6 months and 5 years. The company announced the vaccine had favorable results with only some typical mild or moderate adverse reactions. They hope to have the FDA authorize the vaccine in the next few weeks. Pfizer is also currently developing a vaccine for kids under 5, but it is not known when exactly those results will be published or when we can expect it to become available.
If you're in a dancing mood, then we have some good news for you.
Yes, UNT is showcasing a group of dancers on campus, so let's go over to our live reporter, Courtney Hill, for more. Courtney?
Another exciting event is happening today at the University of North Texas. Come enjoy the famous Flamenco Company at 8 p.m. in the University Union Lyceum. This is one of America's best flamenco companies, embodying a vital part of Hispanic heritage. There's nothing like good music and dancing, so you don't want to miss out the opportunity to shake it up. Tickets are free for UNT students, $10 for UNT staff, and $15 for the general public. I hope to see you all there, and back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Courtney. You know, I'm getting tired just thinking about all of that dancing. I bet those dancers have to be really athletic.
I'd have to agree. Speaking of athletes, let's see what our sports anchor, James Banker, has to say for us.
Thank you, guys. Coming up after the break, the Sweet 16 is set to begin. Spring training is getting wild, and the Mavs are going to be without their star. Stay tuned. The Sweet 16 officially begins tomorrow night. The games kick off with Arkansas against Gonzaga, who has been the tournament favorite so far. Then Michigan, an 11th seed who barely made the tournament, plays Villanova. And finally, we are left with the only two teams remaining from the great state of Texas. The Texas Tech Red Raiders take on the Duke Blue Devils in what could be Coach K's final game. And then rounding out the matchups are the Houston Cougars versus the Arizona Wildcats. The games begin at 6 p.m. tomorrow night on CBS and TBS. And then moving on, March is always one of the best times of the year to be a sports fan. The NCAA tournament, NFL free agency, the final weeks of the NBA season, but also spring training, something we weren't sure if we were going to see with the MLB lockout. Well, it appears that March Madness has spread into baseball. The score you see behind me is not a typing error. Monday, the Texas Rangers downed the Cleveland Guardians 25-12. This is the most runs scored in an exhibition contest since 2006. The Rangers are currently 2-1-1 this spring training, but play again today at 3 o'clock against the Chicago White Sox. And with just 10 games left in the NBA season, the Dallas Mavericks sit at the 5th seed with a 44-28 record. With the potential to move up to either the 4th or 3rd seed, the Mavs hope to close out strong. But tonight they will be without Luka Doncic. There is no need to panic. He is okay, just experiencing some ankle soreness and is resting out of caution. Tonight's matchup is against the Houston Rockets, who are one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. Look for Spencer Dinwiddie and Josh Green to have great games in his absence. The basketball game is tonight at 7:30 in the AAC. That's all for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Wednesday is National Puppy Day, so get excited to honor the fluffy canines. This designated day helps to validate the unconditional love that puppies provide to their owners, as well as raise awareness about the puppies who are in need of a home. The ASPCA says that more than 3 million dogs are placed in shelters every year. Animal advocates suggest looking to adopt puppies from shelters instead of seeking other sources. And since today is so special, I want to take this time to wish a happy National Puppy Day to my own puppies back at home. Thank you for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tomorrow for the latest coverage here on North Texas Television.